brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Oh my goodness, it is definitely time for more Suds. Welcome to the Suds episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. I can't believe I'm actually sitting here. This is good old boy Mike, and joining me here at the table is good old boy Dave.
Hey buddy.
Good old gal Julieanna.
Hello.
And good old boy Kendall.
It's 1:35 Eastern time.
In the AM.
We are the best thing on at 2 a.m. And, you know, we want to thank you for choosing us over probably something on the BBC that, you know, would be exceptional right about now. Probably like, you know, moss growing in you or something, you know, to that effect. Well, our Sud segments are all about beer, and more beer. And this 1 hour episode should be entertaining for probably about, 18 minutes tonight.
If we're lucky.
Close to it.
Yeah, you know, I am ambitious. Well, you know, this is a really special episode. We're actually recording from the Great American Beer Festival, and we're really just going to have a great conversation about this event. It's just all about...
Holy soul.
You know, I just can't say enough, you know, interesting things about the Great American Beer Festival here in Denver, Colorado. This is the GABF for 2016 that we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to have a really good conversation about some of the early stages of the event. You'll actually get to enjoy this episode on Friday for those of you that are actually attending the festival. And
well, they'll get to listen to it. I think enjoy is a bit of a stretch.
You know, I am optimistic, Dave. So, you know, we're going to have to, you know, work on our way through this. We have a really great conversation. We'll get to talk a little bit about, you know, actually coming out here to Denver, the convention itself, just kind of the general atmosphere. We're going to have a chance to talk about some beers that we had actually outside the convention to kind of kick things off. And then we'll kind of move our way actually into the convention itself and talk about some beers we had there and some of our experiences just on the floor in general. Everybody looking forward to this? Dave's thinking about it.
Yeah, so great conversation. I'm guessing there's more people that are going to show up and talk?
Exactly.
No. But thank you. I appreciate the thought anyway. You know, maybe we should just break out the cowbell right off the bat. Need a little more cowbell, you know, at this point in time, you know, right off the bat. So we had a really great time, you know, coming out here. We flew, we drove here.
We drew our way out here.
We drew our way out here. And it was just kind of a, you know, it was a good little journey kind of coming out here. Julieanna, Dave, I know you guys actually drove, you know, to come here. And this is a bit of a beer vacation. So you guys had a couple of good stops on the way out, didn't you?
Did you know that they grow corn in Nebraska?
Really?
Yes, I am aware of that, Dave. I do believe they definitely record.
They grow a
lot of corn, yeah.
Dork.
Iowa, too.
Yeah, I had a beer called Dork today, but or something close to that, but we'll talk about that later.
That should be interesting.
No, we stopped off briefly in St. Louis, Missouri. Had a great time.
There you go.
Bought some beer.
Good beer town.
Stopped off in Des Moines, Iowa. Saw some dear friends, Tyler and Allison and Isaac.
I'm sorry, that's the wrong button.
Wow, that's cool. Thanks. Sorry, guys. You didn't mean it. Tasted some very good beers in Iowa. Des Moines is a good town. Good time in a good town. Drove very quickly, I would say, but it didn't feel quickly, across the state of Nebraska.
Seek the Holy Grail!
At Lincoln, we stopped at a very cool place. I don't know their name. Julie might know it, but Speak up, Julie, if you know it.
thinking about it.
Moylan's. Jesus. Anyways, we stopped at a place. They're cool. They had a lot of good beer, and they sold us some beer and some whiskey. Then we rode to Cheyenne, Wyoming. Love it. Went to Accomplice Brewing Company. Had some great beers. And then drove down into Colorado today. No, yesterday. Whew, man.
I know it all kind of runs together.
I drove up in the Rocky Mountains, saw some fantastic scenery, met a cool dude who was a park ranger named Doc. Not Doc Holliday. He was almost that old, but sorry, Doc, that was not cool for me to say. But he was cool. He's from Minnesota. Doc, love you, man. And then we came down into Denver. We went to some places yesterday. And then we came to our place to stay and went to sleep.
There you go. Well, a good journey coming out here to Denver, Colorado. And I'm glad you guys got to see lots of...
just for the record,
corn.
For people who are not watching the video, which actually there is no video, Julie just shot me a dirty look for rambling on. But here's the thing, Julie. When you don't pipe in with the actual facts of what goes on, I will just say whatever occurs to mind.
So what state did Dave stop being entertaining? Would that be like Missouri or prior to Nebraska?
Tennessee.
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm just letting you speak. So I'm going to give a shout out to Square One Distillery, where we had lunch in St. Louis. I love that place.
Good fried chicken.
And yeah, I mean, the food is great. The beer is great. And then they also have spirits as well.
Oh, cool.
And
not like ghosts, like liquor.
Whatever.
Thanks for clarifying, Dave.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
It could be haunted for all you know.
No, but I mean, the drive to Des Moines wasn't bad. And then once we got to Des Moines, the bait shop was pretty good.
L Bait Shop.
L Bait Shop. And
220 beers on tap, and they know exactly what 219 of them are.
No, I mean, for Des Moines, that's kind of impressive, I thought.
Dude, you just totally ripped on everybody in Des Moines.
We're banned in Des Moines now.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Hit the button.
Once again.
Yeah. Well, for Des Moines, I mean, they're slow, but they're okay. That's basically what you said.
And then we drove through a rather lengthy storm in Nebraska that took up the majority of the trip in Nebraska. But
Julieanna killed every insect in Des Moines or in Nebraska.
Yeah.
We have a photograph of the windshield to prove it.
For those of you living in Nebraska, I've helped you out.
Yeah.
So, yay to that.
No more pestilence.
Yeah. And
plus, I'm gone. So
right. And at Morin's liquor store, we had a great time.
Now you know the name of it. Yeah.
Well, I was letting you speak.
Yeah. Good crowler fills.
It was.
Are we ever going to get to Denver?
No.
That's
Probably
what. That's what we were saying the whole way through Nebraska.
Well, Kendall and I hopped on a plane. I got some really crappy drinks. I got hosed up with a glass of wine and an Italian baptism, and a packet of cheese.
Actually,
cheese bits.
Mine was better because we chose different airlines, and one of the home airlines of Denver has Oscar Blues Penner on the plane, so I had a pretty good flight.
You scored. I definitely did.
Kendall was having some Penners on the flight to Denver.
I was not so lucky.
How fitting.
But we did get off there at the airport, and they had actually the beer garden right there again in Denver International Airport, which was
very good.
Kind of interesting. We didn't walk through it quite as much, but I will tell you that we took the brand new light rail all the way from the airport to downtown.
It's fantastic. What a way to move around Denver. Just get a ticket, get on the train.
The stewardesses were fantastic.
On the train, I mean, it was just for those of you that are coming to and from Denver from the airport, I can't say enough good things about that new transportation option. So it was really cool. We actually stopped off at Lucky Pie right off the get-go, and we had some righteous beer within like an hour. We hit Denver. So tell them about the cool thing we had there.
We started with the true ancient bowl, or bole. We're not sure how we pronounce that, but
we're going to go for it.
I thought it was a boil.
Crisp, dry, citrusy, lemony, a little bit of funk, and delicious.
Yeah, what's your Suds rating on that?
Oh, that was a Suds 5, I think.
For you, right off the bat, man.
Hey, you know what the cool part is how they saved some for us, like for when we got there.
Negative. No.
Yeah,
definitely
no.
not.
I want to thank you guys for that.
It was just, I don't know, there was something so cool about that beer. It was the balance off of it. It was crisp. It was the citrus component about it was nice, and it was malty. It was just, there was a lot of things that were going on there right from the get-go.
You guys had your little bromance. That's cool. Whatever.
Anyway, my Suds rating was 4 for the true. It was a great beer. It was a really great start. And, there were a lot of good beers that were there on tap at Lucky Pie. And we had, some interesting flights. Some things maybe we didn't particularly care for that I don't know that I want to talk about in a rate here. But, it was kind of interesting. We had an interesting time. We walked around to one of our favorite places, Fresh Craft, and we caught up with Julieanna and Dave.
They were, let me just say this, they were in Denver, and they were a mile high when we found them. So,
well, we'll come back here shortly, and we'll talk about our time at Fresh Craft, all the really great beer, in just one moment.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever.
Hey, welcome back to this episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes. You've decided to join us for the second segment. Is that like the winner? This is a Suds episode today. This is actually our broadcast from the Great American Beer Festival for 2016. Really great event here in Denver. We're just kind of just chatting a little bit about kind of making our way around to the opening session for GABF 2016. So we walked around the corner during the break. Kendall reminded me we actually had another really good beer at Lucky Pie.
Oh, it was the Cascade Hopped Sour Ale from Funkworks.
Great beer.
Fantastic.
It was, yeah.
And to clarify what Dave said earlier, we were 5,280 feet above sea level at the time, so we were a mile high, but had not consumed any of the other substances in Denver.
Sure, that's cool. Sure.
So this is a really interesting series from Funkworks. So what they did is they basically took one beer and they chose a single varietal hops that they went through it. So they have an Amarillo, they have Cascade, they have what are some of the other ones that they've done?
I think they did a Mosaic.
A Mosaic, yeah.
Citra.
So, I mean, we've seen, several brewers kind of take this approach where they take kind of a single, hop varietal and work with it. I don't know. That one in particular was really good. I thought the Cascade was singing pretty well off that.
Really nice. Yeah, you get a little bit of the pine, a lot of the grapefruit.
Yeah.
It worked really well.
I think it was the pine that kind of really captured Kendall and I, because we spent a lot of time in the Northeast where Cascade was not quite as prevalent, and that pine kind of caught you and I both a little off guard. I was kind of like, whoa, I haven't had that in a few weeks, and I'm like, wow, that's a wake-up call.
Yeah, so, coming out of New England, I was drinking those beers, I think, spiked with orange juice. It seemed like
so citra forward, and I was like, wow, okay, that is definitely Cascade hop for sure. So, but a great beer. So we walked around the corner to one of our favorite places here in Denver, which was Fresh Craft, and a lot of great things, at Fresh Craft, through the whole week. But what was interesting is the thing, Kendall and I stepped up to the bar, and the thing that captured our attention was there was this giant cask that was sitting there, and it was from
Epic.
Yep.
And it was a full firkin. What's that, like 10.5 gallons? It was a nice size cask.
It was a nice size cask. It wasn't a pony cask, yeah. And they were really working on it hard. So this was Escape to Colorado was the firkin that they had there, and they've done a lot of interesting things with this beer. I mean, they've had it with gummy bears, they've had it with sweet tarts. I mean, they have put everything you could possibly imagine.
They put a live
with this
baby
beer
in it once.
So the cask that was in front of us was a fruited version, and it had two things on it:
mango and jackfruit,
which was kind of an interesting choice, to kind of go. So this is an IPA.
Very good.
And to try to, apply kind of a fruit, over an IPA, I don't know. There was something about it. I was like, wow, I don't know if this is really a great choice, but
I thought it was great.
I love cask beer, and I was kind of like, I was just waiting, for us to enjoy this.
Waiting was the key word.
It definitely. They had a few problems with that cask that they were working on.
It was the most overcarbonated cask I've ever seen. When they put the tap in, which was a flawless tapping, by the way, not a single bit of beer anywhere. They opened it up, and I've never seen a spray like that, just pure foam for
that usually
20
means
minutes
on a cask beer. That usually means they did it too early. They primed it a little too soon before it had fully fermented. So usually on something like that, you'll do it when it's about 75-80% fermented out, so that the yeast has already eaten most of the sugars, and then you'll put it in the cask and let it finish eating what's left, and it will naturally carbonate that way.
I think the fruit kind of played with that.
If you do it too early, or you don't compensate for fruit like that and those extra sugars, boop. Yeah,
it was extremely carbonated, because even after they let off the pressure, the beer wasn't flat like you would sometimes get from a cask. It had a still good carbonation in that beer.
Yeah, and they had to mess with it a couple times. Even after we finally got there and got one, they had to take it down and mess around with it a little bit more.
And that's a problem with a cask beer. When you put fruit in that cask, 9 times out of 10, it's going to gum up that tap, and it's going to clog it up.
Well, so let's go quick around with tasting notes and ratings on the Escape to Colorado with mango and jackfruit. Dave?
I thought the fruit came out very well. It definitely had plenty of carbonation in it, but I thought the flavors were really balanced out pretty well. And a lot of times some of these like American IPAs and things don't always translate well to cask beer, but this one I felt like it really did. I would give it a 4.
Oh, how about that? Right off the bat. Julieanna, what did you think about Escape to Colorado with mango and jackfruit?
I really enjoyed it. It was very approachable, very smooth, and you got a lot of the fruit flavors in there. And they really shined, if that makes any sense. I gave it a 4, and I really loved it.
Cool. Kendall, what do you think about Epic's Escape to Colorado with mango and jackfruit?
It was an enjoyable beer when they finally served it to us.
Took a little while.
But the mango and jackfruit, and I'm not quite sure what a jackfruit is, but the fruit flavors really balanced out the bitterness of that IPA, and it was a really smooth, easy drinking beer. Yeah. Being on cask, a little bit warmer, a little bit less carbonation than a draft beer, which is very easy to drink, and that was a 4 for me.
How about that? Well, my own tasting notes on Escape to Colorado from Epic Brewing with mango and jackfruit. I don't know. I was just kind of admiring the whole effort of actually getting the cask going, to be honest with you. By the time we got around to actually tasting it, it was actually the freshness of just having cask beer.
It was a lot of effort. I think half of the Epic crew was there working on that cask.
I've never seen 5 people have to get a cask actually flowing and working before.
That's like one guy for every 2 gallons of beer.
It was pretty wild. But anyway, I did admire the beer itself. I don't believe I've had Escaped Colorado just kind of in a plain Jane version.
I have.
Oh, you have?
So I really could tell the difference.
I thought the fruit was actually complementing, kind of the beer overall. It wasn't overwhelming it. I love great cask beer when it's there and fresh. Yeah. It was a solid 4 for me all the way as well.
Nice.
Yeah, great beer. So, Kendall and I had a couple other things to talk about there at Fresh Craft. I had from Comrade, I had the Superpower IPA. Great beer. I totally dig Comrade. I mean,
it was nice.
It's just such a phenomenal little brewery. And I actually ran into him today at the session, and I walked up and I said, "You have to keep making great beer because I'm just going to keep on talking about you forever." Super Dank IPA is absolutely one of the best beers. I really enjoy that. So Superpower is a slightly different version of a hop blend that they make. I thought it was really great. I didn't think it was a dumbed down version of Super Dank itself. I really or Super Damp, I'm sorry. And I thought it was a really solid beer. I really thought it was a solid 3 for me. I know you had a little bit of it, Kendall.
Yeah, I had a small taste and very resiny, and the dankness came through. It was a good beer. It was a 3.
Cool. What else did you have? I forgot. What was the other thing you had?
Oh, the one I had was from Station 26, which is a brewery I've never heard of, but the brewery here in Colorado. And they had one called the Juicy Banger IPA. I ordered it based on the name alone. And from my earlier trip in the week to Vermont and New Hampshire, I was expecting a beer called Juicy Banger to be in the fashion of a New England IPA, and I was not wrong. It was.
Cool.
It was... had very similar flavors, very juicy, but did not have the turbidity that you see in some of the New England IPAs. It was flavored and tastes like a New England IPA, but was actually quite clear. You could almost see through it, which is a change from that style. But I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a very juicy beer. It was a 4.
Cool. How about that? Well, we got to do one of our favorite things when we're on the road, visiting some bottle shops, and we got back to a place that we really enjoy here in Denver, which is the Colorado Liquor Mart. Really great place. It was just kind of this strange moment where we had several places we were looking at going, and we just kind of felt going in there first. And it reminded me of how great that place is. They had such a great selection.
Great cooler.
So we walk in, and Kendall, this was first time, kind of walking into this bottle shop, and so there's a cold case when you walk in, and they had this sign up that I thought was funny, which was
there's a picture on the first cooler you see that says a walk-in cooler, and there's a picture of Christopher Walken on the cooler.
I don't think you could have a better moment
than
having a walk-in cooler.
So awful. Mike, don't.
He went there.
Don't ever
buzz myself, Dave. So,
but yeah, what a great selection. I mean, I could easily go in there and drop $1,000 in that place, and it takes some restraint not to.
Almost,
it really is.
But between the 4 of us, we probably did spend $1,000.
We dropped some change in there today. A few subtle changes happened at Colorado Liquor Mart. One, I really thought the inventory was really kicked up. I mean, they had a lot of things there today that both in volume and I think the variety of things.
Yeah.
There were several things that really caught my attention that I had not seen there. Probably one of the best Fantôme choices outside here in the U.S. They had a really nice selection of Fantôme Belgians that were there. It was really great. both things that were in the market as well as out of the market. I really thought they had I love their can selection and a lot of the cold cases that were in the back. We walked out with some really great beers out of there.
Did you see the variety they had of Bud Light? I mean, not just because they have they have the NFL teams on them, and so they didn't just have the Broncos,
and they had the little cans too, and they had those twist off aluminum cans and bottles, the small bottles.
There was Limerita, there was Clamato.
Juliana, what was your favorite thing you bought at Colorado Liquor Mart?
Oh God, there was. No, I'm not going to talk about the Bud Light.
Talk about the Miller Lite.
Stop it.
Coors Light.
No, there's no Coors Light. I think the selection of True that we got.
Absolutely. Yes. And I bought a whole flight.
And I found one lone bottle of Saint Somewhere. Yes.
Yeah,
which is
found some more,
a really great brewery from St. Petersburg. Is that right? A little north of there, Tarpon Springs. Yeah.
Tarpon Springs, yeah. Which I thought was really interesting. And what else did we get there, Dave?
We got the Batch 200 from Crooked Stave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got some stuff.
Well, let's move right along.
Yeah,
because we actually did get to go to another bottle shop today that we've never been to, which is Small Batch.
Cool
and
place.
It was really great to kind of roll in there and kind of check things out. Really nice shop. It's right around the corner from one of our favorite places, Hops and Pies,
which was great.
In Denver as well. And I thought it was a good 1-2 punch. Great selection.
They had some Melvin 2x4.
They had probably the biggest selection of Casey that I've seen here, for GABF.
Yeah, and they hadn't even rolled it all out by the time we got there.
Yeah.
There was still more to come of the Casey.
I thought that was really special.
Yeah, they had an incredible selection, and it was nice to see a hometown favorite. They had some Yazoo Embrace the Funk Delashoe in there.
How about that? Yeah.
And I think Julieanna said they had some Yazoo Sioux also in the cooler.
They did have some Sioux.
I
was really impressed by that.
So,
that was cool.
But yeah, I picked up some True and some Crooked Stave there, but it was, I don't know how they got the Yazoo in there in Colorado, but I'm glad they did. I'm glad it's getting exposed to these people out here.
Saw some Blackberry Farm stuff in both of those stores.
Both stores had a good selection of Blackberry Farm, which is building quite the reputation nationwide. It's beautiful that beer is coming out of Tennessee, and it's stellar.
Great lineup of Cascade, that I saw there as well. And several other local can selections that I saw there.
Some good stuff from Epic.
They had probably the best can lineup from Epic that I did not see while we were, at Colorado Liquor Mart.
I picked up an Epic Mix 12-pack, though, at Colorado Liquor Mart. It had the Little Brainless on raspberries and a few other selections.
Yeah.
Dave, are you chiming in and little Brainless?
I thought he was talking to me.
That was just like a hanging curveball right there for you.
It's going to have to come across his table.
I need to turn on the prog rock again just for Dave. So
Ian Anderson's a woman, just in case anybody wondered.
Anyway, we had a lot of fun in the car today as we were making our way down to the Great American Beer Festival itself.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it's about time we talk about everything on for the Great American Beer Festival and kind of getting around to, just some general discussion. The thing I've been waiting for this whole time was Kendall's walking in with these fresh pair of eyes.
Wow.
So
I saw him crying.
Tell everybody. What did you think? The first time you walked in, the whole size and everything.
Well, the first time I walked in, I was just kind of shocked. We got in way before the crowd after we picked up our passes, and I work a lot of beer festivals, and this thing blew me away just by the sheer scope and size of it. So many breweries.
How would you like to haul ice for this one?
Yeah, no,
not a chance. But wow! And then when we walked in later, when the crowd was arriving, I think I told you already. I felt overwhelmed. The first hour or so, I just kind of wandered around just randomly. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah,
just looking for a place to grab a beer and. I think I settled into a rhythm. I started figuring out what I wanted to taste and who I wanted to visit. But wow, it was an amazing experience.
It's very well organized. For as big as it is, it's well organized and it's well run because they have people everywhere who know if you have questions, they can point you, and then there are maps all over the place, and the app and everything. It really is pretty well done.
Well. So I thought I'd talk about some of the changes just in the show floor organization itself, because there were a couple of things that caught our attention. They moved around the Brewers Guild in the hall itself, and they have this whole new section called Meet the Brewer as well. And they added probably one of my favorite things this year, which is the heavy metal.
Oh.
No, not the cornhole thing. No. It's a heavy metal booth. So basically they assembled a group of the medal winners from last year in one location, and you can stop by and actually try a lot of the 2015 medal winners. And
that was great.
I just absolutely fell in love, with that entire booth. I mean, I got to try... probably one of my favorites was an oatmeal raisin beer, and I'll tell you that's from here in just a second because it just really captured my attention. It was the oatmeal raisin cookie ale from Aftershock Brewing Company, and they won the bronze medal. And I just sat and smelled that beer for practically like 10 minutes. And
people were looking at him. It was weird.
An oatmeal raisin fan, at all. But there were just a lot of good beers, kind of as you walked all the way around, the heavy metal booth.
You're my boy Blue from actually the Brew Bus in Tampa.
Yeah, those guys are great.
The blueberry wheat.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about our experience at the GABF floor in just one moment after we get right back from this break.
It's not just the destination, but baby, the whole elation. We're riding down this lover's avenue, as slow as a willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows. We glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. This is good old boy Mike here. We're talking about a Suds episode today on the Great American Beer Festival for 2016. And we were just kind of talking a little bit about kind of the general organization of the floor itself. Any other quick changes you guys have really caught your attention, Julieanna, Dave, since you guys have seen, a few things evolve over time?
No, I mean, I think for me, I'm really happy that we had the heavy metal section this year. And I like the expansion of the Meet the Brewer section as well. And then the guild was all in one row, and I like that.
We all like that.
That works very well.
Well, I think that the Brewers Guild is a bit of a special, section, I think, for those of us that kind of recognize that there are a lot of beers that don't actually make it to the floor, on this convention. And it's a real opportunity for those Brewers Guilds to be able to bring a combination of beers that are well known, still to be available for patrons of the convention to enjoy, as well as a lot of new beers that may not, be exposed to a broader audience. And I thought I saw quite a few of those back in the
Julieanna and I went through every state that was there. Montana, very impressive. You probably don't think about Montana. They were great. Michigan really brought it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Some great beers. Wow.
Michigan
Sorry,
was good.
Montana.
One of my favorites was Vermont, and
Yeah, they were good.
and it's like the guilds. They're not just pouring beers that you've never heard of or can't make it to the festival. I mean, they were pouring Lawson Sip of Sunshine at the Vermont.
a lot of them had people from the breweries. They were
Exactly.
either brewers or people who were worked there, so you could actually talk to them, and it wasn't just volunteers. New York State, there was one called No Treason. The brewery is Woodland Hop Farm and some other thing. I don't know, but look them up. They're in New York State. It's No Treason. I don't know what kind of beer. Oh, it's an Adam beer. So Kendall knows what that is. It's like the first beer ever made. Whatever,
Yeah.
Eve kept ragging on him. He's like, I need a beer. So he finally made a beer. This thing was kind of smoky and beautiful, and it was definitely for me. The between the aroma and the flavor, it was a 5.
Oh, wow. Any other... Dave, what are some of your other top picks out of today at the show?
So in the Washington State Guild, there was a peppercorn saison.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, dude. I've had a lot of pepper beers. People make chili beers, and then they make beers with peppercorns, pink peppercorns, and Himalayan, dwarf peppercorns with a side of whatever.
Is this going somewhere?
No, it's not. It's going here. Okay, that they made this peppercorn saison that was well balanced, great flavor, and no heat. It was like.
It was beautiful.
It was a taste of peppercorn and no heat, and you're just drinking it, and you're like, dude, I want to... The savory qualities of it made you want to keep drinking it, but it didn't burn you up. That was also a 5.
Wow, how about that? Anything else capture your attention?
There were some ladies there, but I'm...
She's sitting a foot and a half away from you.
I know, she's going to hit me later.
Please. I'm glad that there are no, deadly, weapons here at the table. Julieanna, would you love to care to talk about some of the beers that you actually saw today?
Okay. Whatever.
That's a long sigh, man.
Yeah, but look what I'm dealing with. No.
It's going to be a long ride home.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one of the best spots that I find every year is Uinta. They're like sort of campground, come into my fire like you're actually at a campfire kind of thing.
They have a good booth presentation.
I think they happen to have the best booth. I'm just saying, like.
Well, that makes great beer.
Booth wise, that's cool. Okay.
Booth beer.
Then there's also this Storm Peak Gallagher Watermelon Goza.
That was good.
That was
a familiar ring to it.
That was really good. I really, really enjoyed that.
What about that 5 Rabbit?
Yes, 5 Rabbit. I think we tried a few things from them and really, really liked them.
And the place next door was...
No, there was another one...
350?
Yeah, 350. 350 had... Okay, Dave, are you, coming in on my
I'm
thing?
helping you. I'm helping you remember.
Thank you for helping me remember.
And in the next corner.
I know. No, 350 Brewing from Tinley Park, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Everything from them was so good.
4 out of 4.
I mean, their I Hate Mondays was great, and their Don't Pick Up Hitchhikers was really great too.
Which is also good information for people on road trips.
Well, I mean, that's something to consider. Sure. And then there was another one that I really liked. It was called, it was a gin barrel aged June from Mad Tree Brewing Company.
Yeah.
This one was an ale aged in gin barrels with juniper berries and ginger.
I've heard about this beer.
JOON.
Right. That thing was absolutely stunning.
What's your rating on that?
That one is a 5.
Oh, how about that?
For sure.
Oh, anything else?
One more. Land Grant. Their Greenskeeper Session IPA. This is a Columbus, Ohio brewery.
And that
Yes,
was in the,
I know.
that was in the
That was in the Guild.
yeah.
Flippin' phenomenal for a Session IPA. That was bueno.
Not even in the app.
Right. But I
Last
still-
minute sub.
It was beautiful.
Well, cool. Let's keep going right around. Kendall, what caught your attention today at your very first session of the Great American Beer Festival?
It took me a while to get my feet underneath me, but though I don't have just one beer, but I have one brewery that I'd like to shout out, and that was the La Cumbre
La Cumbre.
from
Yeah.
New Mexico.
Bueno.
Wow. I
Need like a Spanish guitar. Dun, 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 dun.
I stood in the line like 7 times, and the guy finally, after like my third beer, started, joking about it, because I would get a beer and go to the back of the line and just enjoy that while I worked my way through the line to the next beer. They had 9 beers. I tried 8 of them. They ran out of one.
Damn.
But everyone was just solid. Anywhere from stouts to IPAs to a rye to sour. Every beer was solid. And I can't say that of every beer I visited, but this was just fantastic.
What's some of your rating?
I would say overall a 4.
Well, how about that? Cool. Anything else kept your attention?
Quattro.
Yeah, a brewery I'm familiar with, River Rat, out of I think Charleston, South Carolina. I've had their beers for the last 2 years at the Greenville Beer Festival in Greenville, South Carolina. Good, solid beers, but this year they really blew me away with their Tabasco Kolsch. And wow,
Could you taste the rat?
and I could not taste the rat, but I could taste the peppers. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but Tabasco is actually aged in oak barrels.
Yeah.
And so then they take those oak barrels after they get the Tabasco sauce out, and they put a Kolsch in it, which is a very interesting beer, because usually pepper beers are overwhelming and I don't like them. But there was just a hint of that Tabasco pepper. Not a lot of heat.
Sounds really good, actually.
But it was a fantastic beer, and that was a solid 4 for me as well. And I think the other beer I really enjoyed, I'm glad I got a chance, was at the Heavy Metal station. I tried the Pilsner from Russian River.
Ooh, wow.
That
Yeah, the
that
SDS.
Russian River SDS Pils was just fantastic.
And that was at their booth as well. So I'm so glad they brought that back, because it's a really good rendition. Yeah. What's your rating on that?
Oh, that's a 5.
Yeah. It's a really good beer. Well, I had several beers that captured my attention, and I'm going to try and rip through these as quickly as I can. I found myself really enamored with somebody that is on a well-beaten path, but just making really great beer. So I actually walked up to the McKellar San Diego booth, and of course I'm not going to pass up a chance to have Beer Geek Brunch. It's just such a phenomenal beer, all the way, and I can't say enough good things. I mean, that beer is always a solid 5 for me. It's the richness of the roast off that, and it's just this really delicate balance of sweet and dry, and the roast in it. It's just such a great beer. Yeah. But I had for the first time tonight, which was actually their Nelson Brut, which is not a beer that I was really familiar with, and so this is actually a beer that they actually put together, and it's actually in a wine barrel, I believe, and it just I really thought it was just a really good rendition of something that was showing the phenomenal artistry, I thought, of what Mikkel actually does with a lot of the beers, and I really thought it was a solid beer as well. A solid 4, for me. There were a couple other things that caught my attention. Probably one of my favorites was actually from Six Rivers Brewery. It's called Rosie's Strawberry Wheat. And I'm actually probably going to say this now, and I'm actually going to watch it play out, which is going to be my favorite chick beer of the show. I actually was watching, hordes of women come up and enjoy this wheat beer. And so finally I'm staying there. I'm like, okay, fine. I've got to try this, myself. I'm like, I can't believe I'm having a strawberry wheat beer. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually quite soft, and the thing I enjoyed about it was what it was not, which was over fruited, and the strawberry was nice and balanced with it. I thought it was a really, rock solid beer. I thought it was a solid 3. A couple other things that caught my attention: the Nitro Velvet Merlin from Firestone Walker was there, and I really thought that beer on Nitro really was kicked up a notch. A solid 4. A couple of things that caught my attention. We'll talk a lot more probably about Von Trapp on a future show, but the Golden Hellas from them was just phenomenal, and Kendall and I are both nodding our head, and we're going to probably talk a little bit about them on another future show. Some other things, my favorite combination of vegetable with Kolsch is a cucumber Kolsch, and the one from Highwater Brewing really kind of captured my attention today, and I thought it was a really solid rendition, a really solid 3 all the way for the cucumber Kolsch. So I'm going to wrap up with talking about a beer that I'm going to probably just gush on and on and on about, and it's from somebody that happens to be both in our backyard as well as it's a beer that I had a little bit of a hand in working on some of the blend of it, but it's the Cassis Amour Rouge from Mantra, and this is just a really wonderful Flanders. So Amour Rouge is a softer Flanders style, and Derek Morris is the brewer from there, and I really love the approach, that they've taken with this. But the Cassis is really a phenomenal beer, and it's not because I was sitting at the table and I was, having a bit of some contribution and coming up with a blend. I tasted it for the first time in the final rendition today, and the Cassis was kicked up, phenomenal.
It's fantastic.
I know a bunch of you have had this, and it was just an absolute. It was a solid 4 all the way for me. If you have a chance to pick up this bottle, you absolutely should. You'll recognize it, the white wax, and they're actually there at GABF serving this beer, so you should drop by. They're in the Meet the Brewers section.
Yeah, it was the first time I've had that beer, and Mantra is making some great beer. I always love to see great beer coming out of Tennessee, but this beer, I think they've raised it up a notch.
Yeah, it's a little difficult for me to kind of contain my excitement, about just how good that beer was. It really was quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of some celebrity moment today on the floor, and for those of you that are crossover fans of some of our other episodes and enjoyed our High West show, I ran into Brendan Doyle today. Ooh. Yeah, I know. It's just, I cannot believe this happened. So for those of you that watch our Facebook feed, this is a little bit of some real-time information. So Brendan decided to, actually he was shopping around for some mezzanine funding to actually expand High West Distillery, and in the middle of that, they kind of ran into a bit of a buyout contest. And so literally yesterday, they were purchased by Constellation Brands for $160 million.
Nice.
So
Wow.
So I had the guy that just had his pockets lined with some of the deepest amount of money that I've probably seen change hands, and it was just really good to run into him. And I'm so happy for him. The people at High West, I know they've worked hard on, creating a really wonderful brand, and I couldn't wish them, more success in the future. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that marriage, really comes about with Constellation. So I'm really looking forward to that. Final thoughts about JBF for the next couple of days.
Just try to get through it.
Well, I think we're all kind of beat, after our first day, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm ready for sleepy time.
I'm going to sing prog rock songs, and Dave's here all night. So
okay, now that's weird because that would mean we were.
Well, I'm just going to crank up a good Yes album, and you play it, in your room. I'm not going to sing it to you.
Wow, way to.
Julieanna, anything else you're looking forward to?
Just looking forward to the rest of the weekend and pacing myself and trying everything that I can, because there's just a whole lot of things going on.
Looking forward to the meet and greet tomorrow, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for our episode today. Thanks to all our listeners here on Sips, Suds, and Smokes. And catch all of our episodes online on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and Spreaker, our native media host. And catch us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every single day at Sips, Suds, Smokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. I want to thank my co-host for being here. Good old boy Dave, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, buddy.
Good old gal Julieanna.
Yay, to our first night.
There you go. And good old boy Kendall.
Wow, I finally went to GABF.
Oh, tell us a little bit about your blog. I forgot to mention that.
My wonderful, wonderful, beautiful wife and I blog about the good news of good beer at beermakes3.com. So check us out.
Definitely. And come back here. Join us once again on Sips, Suds, and Smokes for a future episode. We have lots of great episodes in store for the rest of our Suds episode for this season. For now, this is good old boy Mike asking you to join us once again and keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.